Hi, I'm Russell Cummings from Strategic Business Development. Welcome to my Business Tips video blog. Again, I'm just giving you some feedback, a quick video blog on an article I've written recently, and that was called Are Meetings Dead? I don't know if you're like me, but I have a pathological hatred for meetings that go on forever, are seemingly pointless, and often I've just been there to be an observer. I think there's a different paradigm, and we can actually improve the quality of the meetings we have in businesses, because they are an important communication mechanism. So there's nothing like sitting across the table from somebody and eyeballing them and having some discussion around some important meetings. But I think our meetings need to be far more around action and decision making than just information sharing. Now there's some important things I think we can do to actually improve the quality of our meetings. The first of those is, I think we can actually change the name. The current meeting name for me means that you're going to turn up with a cup of coffee, sit down, have a bit of a relax around the table and get on with things. I think our meetings need to be short, sharp and focused, and so there need to be some rules. No coffee, maybe no sitting down even, but if it's a short, sharp meeting, then you don't turn up with a cup of coffee. As soon as somebody turns up with a cup of coffee, they're there for 20 minutes. I think we need to change the name. So instead of calling it a meeting, call it something else. A catch-up, a dialogue, a toolbox talk. I don't mind a discussion, something else. Anything but a meeting, because a meeting comes with a set of paradigms and rules that people agree to. The second thing is, I think you've got to get the structure of our meetings right. At the moment, meetings are largely unstructured. So the three things to think of there: the agenda, the duration, and then lastly the attendees. Let's talk about the agenda. Want a short, sharp agenda. It's a good idea if you circulate the agenda beforehand. For regular meetings, you can have actually a regular agenda that you stick to, and you might add items to it. But the key thing is short, sharp, keep it time bound, and we'll talk about duration in a second. But a short, sharp agenda that's really focused on it. One of the things you've got to ask yourself when you're setting the agenda is, what is the purpose of this meeting? So if we're going to have a particular meeting, why would we have that purpose? So think about that. So the purpose of your meeting. A simple agenda that works for me, often in lots of business cases, is what's going well, what's not going well, what do we need to change, how are we going in terms of our KPIs and things, and you may pick that up in terms of what's going well and what's not. And then lastly, is there any news or activities we need to take care of, that you can then look at actions from the previous meetings, and really importantly, agree the actions that you're going to take coming out of this meeting, who's responsible for them, and the time frames you're going to have them in. Make sure you keep that your meetings are focused on action, and you leave every meeting with at least somebody getting a job out of it. There needs to be action out of every meeting. In terms of duration, keep your meetings short, sharp and focused. If they only need to be 10 minutes, keep them to 10 minutes. If it's a 20-minute meeting, you've scheduled 20 minutes and it's all over in 10 minutes, don't make people stay on for the 20 minutes. Get them out of there and get them on. So think about your duration. Your duration needs to be related to your purpose, and it needs to be relevant. But you also need somebody who's quite a fierce timekeeper to keep things to track. Simple tools like setting times for each level of discussion, and at the time you either make a decision to continue that discussion or take it offline or have another meeting around it. If an agenda item doesn't concern at least 3 people in the meeting, then make sure those 2 people are involved, take it offline. So there's just some simple things. And the last one then is attendance. Who should attend that meeting? My golden rule is that people need to be adding value. You just don't need to be there to make up the numbers. If you're there, that includes the person taking the minutes, they need to be there and they need to be prepared to contribute and add value. If you're not going to contribute and add value to the meeting, don't bother turning up. And if you're just there as an observer, think twice about whether that person's there. It's normally a substitute for poor communication. So if we don't have good communication coming out of the meetings, then we tend to have more people involved because we're not communicating effectively. So remember, meetings are about making decisions, taking action. Yeah? One of the other things we need to think about then is the frequency and the timing of the meeting. So the duration is that, but how frequently will we run our meetings? The rule here, I think, has to be that the bigger the challenge you're facing and the shorter time frame it has to be done in, the more frequently you need to meet. So it's like driving an old slow car. You can actually wander along the road a bit and it meanders along a bit and it doesn't matter. But if you're driving a high-speed Formula 1 car, if you've ever seen the in-cockpit shots of either a rally driver or a professional rally driver or a Formula 1 driver, you can see them making minute adjustments to that car many times a second. So it's the same with your business. If you're actually going very fast and it's a big challenge you've got ahead of you, then your team need to meet frequently. Now that doesn't mean that the meetings have to be long. Remember, we're talking about short, sharp, focused meetings, and my recommendation is that you may be better off to have more shorter, sharper, focused meetings than more and have them more frequently than you will if you have a longer meeting that's spaced out at longer intervals. Because in the shorter, sharper meetings you deal with a lot of stuff on the way. You actually don't need to meet for longer and longer. You might actually find you need to meet shorter and shorter. So that's my I guess my thing for meetings. Think about changing the name. Make sure you get the agenda right, the structure right, the agenda, the duration of that meeting and the attendees right, and then think about frequency and timing, because they can directly influence the speed at which you have your meetings. I think it's a new paradigm. I think it's something you should focus on in your business. Have a good hard look at how much time is wasted in your business and you'll be stunned. Alright, more information, go to my website www.sbdbusiness.com.au. See my blog, and there's heaps of other information there. I look forward to seeing you next time around. Thank you.